What's up, dude?
Yes.
How's it going? Nice. We in Cape Town, South Africa.
And this is our to manual. And
Yep.
I'm Morgan Kennedy.
And I'm Murray Loubser. Yeah, bro, manuals was a tricky one for me. It wasn't easy. I remember also just being a kid going outside the house and trying to manual over and over, just like leaning back, pulling and flipping over, and eventually finding the balance point, but then always falling to the side this way and that way and not actually being able to hold it up. And a lot of perseverance, and then it gets easier.
The thing was, I didn't really, because I probably started riding trails firstly. I didn't really care about manuals. I didn't really do much manuals. I only, after time, every time just get a little more and more and more.
Yeah.
So just seeing everyone else manual, I just started. Yeah, for me it actually took a few years to properly
Learn how to manual.
Yeah.
I think I was fortunate because, well, not fortunate, I grew up where there were no skate parks or anything like that, so I just had flat streets to ride and stuff, so I learned how to manual quite early on. And I spent a lot of time learning how to manual, but when you have a skate park or dirt jumps, you're distracted, so you don't necessarily learn how to just do one thing. I feel like when you're learning something, if you keep trying that one trick over and over, you actually do learn it way quicker than just doing it quickly and then trying something else.
Yeah.
You put the time in, you learn better, and there's a whole scientific thing about that, where the more you try something, the more quickly you're going to learn it. So yeah, definitely worth putting in time then.
Well, basically when I started actually doing it more and more, or trying to get it better, it's just when you get into that balance point, you just have to you know what I mean, just kind of relax and keep it on that balance point, and that's the only thing to it basically.
Yeah, it's such a sick trick, you can use it everywhere, super fun, on top of a quarter pipe, hop up a curve, manual down the curve, just cruising. Definitely an enjoyable one. So how did you learn? What, do you have tips, or how did you figure it out?
I basically just got to one point, I'm like, yo, my manuals suck. And I was like, basically we have this one skate park at Durbanville where it's just a big flat piece of concrete. And I just kept practicing, just keeping my balance, mostly just getting up and then keeping my balance. And I would just do it a few meters, and then every time it'll get a little more and more and more. And then I started doing it just down, up onto something, and then manual down a small drop, or up manual onto something small, just get over it, just keeping that balance point.
Yeah.
And later on, when getting that point, starting a few tricks, 180 or bar spin or something like that.
Yeah, I remember manualing taking forever. Every trick, it takes time. It takes a long time, and you gotta have the patience. And then it's funny, it's manualing, you can learn how to do it, but it's almost one of those tricks that you have to let your body learn how to do it, and you can't figure it out too much in your brain. So you have the fundamentals of it, of how to manual in your mind, but then your body must learn the muscle memory, and once the muscle memory clicks, then manuals become easy. But in the beginning, it's really tricky. And basically all you got to do for a manual is you got to keep your knees slightly bent, on the bike, and you hold the bars, and you kind of you just lean back and you push the bike forward like this, and you keep your legs bent at the same time, and you throw your weight back, and you'll feel the bike just pick up. And then you get into the position, and then if you feel the front wheels dropping, then you push your weight even further behind the back wheel, and you suck your knees in, or you can push them out. Sometimes that also helps. Your body automatically feels that out. And then if you're going to flip over backwards, then you got to try and bring your weight forwards to lower the front wheel down. And you'll get the hang of how that all feels when you try it, and then eventually you'll be manualing, and you won't be thinking about doing that, and your body does it automatically, because it's quite a tricky thing to try to figure out in your brain. It's more let your body figure it out.
Yeah,
I think.
And some people would even like, there's some tricks like you try it, like this manual, I'll say like there'll be 1 week where you'll try it every single day, and you'll leave it for a few days, come back and get it better than what you were doing it for that whole week.
Definitely, yeah. It's like, also it's good to set markers, so you put like a line on the road with chalk, whatever, or like parking lot spaces, and you get to the one, and you try to get to the next one, and you just try to get it further and further. And I find often you'll learn how to manual, and you start getting the point, and you can't believe you're going on your back wheel, you're like balancing on your back wheel, but then you start falling to the side, you can't help it, and you'll just start flopping over one way and the other way. And what helps there is when you're holding the bike, say if you're falling to the left, so your bike starts carving to the left, then you want to tilt your bike this way to the right. You kind of use your bars, you tilt it a bit, and then the back wheel will also change direction, and then you'll start steering it. And you can feel when you go like this with the bike that the wheel will take you either this way or that way. And then if you want to do a really sharp turn in a manual, then you kind of lean your whole body, and then the bike will start going, and you'll learn how to tilt the bike to keep your balance. And also your knees are a big part of it. Like if you manually, you often will find that you stick your knee out this way to counterbalance. So if you're falling this way, then you stick your knee out to keep it in line and balanced, and that's also quite helpful.
And it's basically one of those tricks where your arms are basically not moving much. It's like almost straight. It's basically just your knees going up and down.
Yeah, like a
keeping
pumping
the
motion.
balance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one, but it's fun to learn it, because once you learn how to go straight, then you'll start learning how to turn and stuff, and then the balancing part really comes into play about learning how to like maneuver the bike. But a very key thing, as you were saying, is actually you do keep your arms kind of straight. And getting up into the manual, you can bend your arms and then you push the bike up. But once you're in there, you basically you use a pumping motion with your legs to either bring the back wheel up or to drop it down. And if you have a back brake, I don't ride brakes, but if you happen to have a back brake, then if you feel like you're going to go over backwards, all you do is you pull the back brake and it drops the front wheel down straight away. So that can actually save you from flipping onto your back, because in the beginning you will flip over a few times, and hopefully you have good reflexes, because if you don't, you'll probably end up on your bum. But yeah, the back brake can save you from flipping over, and also you can lean into the brake while you're pulling it, and then you just have this constant manual. But yeah, I'd say a very key thing about it is keeping your weight as far back over the back wheel as possible, and then it just becomes easier to hold the manual, whereas if you try and do it high up, it's much harder to stay in a manual.
And it's just practice.
So like I think it'll take a while to figure out how to like get into the manual. You'll figure out you put your body weight forwards, you pull out, lean back, and you'll slowly figure out where the point is to balance. And with time you'll figure out how to drop and lift your front wheel. But your bike makes a big difference as well. If you have like a long back end, mine's a 13-inch back end, slam.
No idea what mine actually is.
But yeah, anyway, if you have a long back end, then it's harder to lift the wheel, but it's almost more stable when you're manualing. If you have a short back end, then it's much easier to lift the bike up
and loop out.
Yeah. So it's good to keep in mind that back ends make quite a big difference to your manuals, but they also make a difference to grinding and what you ride in general, street or transition. That's another whole topic, really.
And I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and
hit that like button and subscribe.